In our village, they never asked if witches existed. They just asked who would be next. It didn't sound out loud. No one said it directly. But everyone knew a rule that was transmitted as reliably as the names in the church books. A witch cannot die without leaving someone in her place. When I was a kid, I thought it was just a horror movie. The same as stories about swamp lights or black dogs at crossroads. The adults were silent when I entered the room. The old women looked too long. But I didn't care about it. Until Grandma Elena died. Her house stood on the edge of the village, where the gardens turned into the forest. She lived alone, without a husband and children, and it seemed that she had always been there. Even people older than her spoke about Barbara Elena as if she was not getting old, but just waiting. When she died, the church bells did not ring. The priest came, but did not enter the house. And the body was not washed. It was immediately covered with an old roe. I remember how my mother grabbed my hand and whispered, "Don't look, and don't listen." But I watched. Grandma Elena's body lay quietly, too calm. There was a slight smile on her face, not good or evil, but as if she had managed to do everything she wanted. The funeral was strange. No crying, no shouting. People did not say goodbye. They left quickly, as if they were afraid of being delayed. And when the house was lowered into the ground, I noticed something more terrible than death. The peasants did not look into the hole. They looked at us. On women. On girls. 4 children. As if they were counting. That same evening, the mother closed the doors and windows, although it was summer. "Mom," I asked, "Barbara Elena was a witch." She was silent for a long time, and then said, "They don't become witches. They are left." It was the first time I saw her fear. A week later, Galina, a young woman from a neighboring house, fell ill. Neither out of this. The doctors found nothing. She was weaker every day, as if something important was coming out of her. Before she died, Galina began to say strange things. "She's coming," she whispered to the man. She sits down by the bed. He says it's time. "Who?" he asked. "The one who left." Galina died in 3 days. And again, silence. Look again. I saw people looking at another woman, a young teacher Marina, who recently moved to the village. She was a stranger. Strangers are always comfortable. A few months have passed. Marina began to change. She became silent. I stopped looking people in the eye. Her hands were always cold, even in the heat. One day I heard her say to my mother, "I have dreams that I don't remember. I wake up and know things I've never learned." Mother went white. "Don't say that out loud," she whispered. "Don't call." Marina hanged herself in the fall. The village has exhaled. And then everyone understood. The chain did not break. I left the village a year later. Entered the university. I forgot. At least that's what I thought. I didn't call home. I didn't come. I wanted to live a normal life where death is the end, not the transmission of something further. But after many years, my mother got sick. "Advayat," she said on the phone. "I'm afraid to die here alone." I came back in the winter. The village has a date. The houses settled down. There are fewer people, but the views remained the same. My mother was in bed. She lost weight, but her eyes were too clear. "She's coming," she said quietly on the first night. "She's standing in the corner." "Who?" "You know." I didn't answer. "She says I didn't do my part," the mother continued. "She says you can't just leave." "Mom, this is a delusion." She smiled sadly. "You look so much like your grandfather." He didn't believe it either. That's why I stayed. I was pierced by the cold. "What does stayed mean?" "Someone had to be in her place," said the mother. "And I couldn't give anyone away." That night I saw Grandma Elena in a dream. She sat on the edge of the bed and looked at me. "You've grown up," she said. "Time doesn't stand. What do you want?" I asked. "Balance," she replied. "There must always be someone who holds the line. I'm not a witch." She smiled just like in the house. "Not yet." His mother died 2 days later. And then the worst began. I began to hear the village. Not sounds, but thoughts. Who is afraid? Who is hiding? Who can come? People avoided me. But at the same time, as if they were waiting. Will you stay? Asked Aunt Maria. No. Everyone says so. I found my mother's old records. They were hidden under the floor. She wrote about the women in our family, about those who heard, who saw. Those who refused disappeared. The last entry was short. If he reads it, it means I couldn't. So it's his turn. I tried to leave. The car didn't start. The bus didn't come. The phone caught the signal only in the center of the village, and only for local numbers. She came again at night. Do you understand now? Asked grandmother Alina. Why me? Because you're back. Because you hear. A witch is not always a woman. It is a function. What if I refuse? She leaned closer. Then the village will start to die. Slowly. One by one. And they will find a replacement themselves. In the morning, I saw the changes in the mirror. Not from the outside. Inside. The world has become clearer. I knew where the things were hidden. I knew who would come to me today. I knew who the village was afraid to give. By the evening, I made a decision. I stayed. Because a witch who dies always leaves someone in her place. And someone has to say yes.